This video is to demonstrate the pairing and configuration of Merrytek MC177S B1 5.8 GHz motion and daylight sensor. This also comes with on-off output. To begin with the pairing of this particular sensor, I tap on More. I go to Nearby Device. Here you would see the unpaired device. I tap on it and add it to that network. Once the sensor is added to the network, you can see this sensor in the Sensors tab. I tap on the sensor. When you scroll down, you would see the different option in which this particular sensor can be configured. First being the presence sensor and next being the daylight sensor. When you scroll down, you can see other options like indicator, coverage, range, and unpair device. When you tap on coverage range, you can see the different options in which this sensor can function, like 25% coverage, 50% coverage, 75% coverage, and 100%. For video purposes, I currently select 25%. The next option is indicator on or off. You would see a green light flashing on the side of the sensor. So this can be turned on or off based on your requirement. Currently I have kept it on. Now to begin with the presence sensing, I turn off daylight sensor and tap on presence sensor not in use. I click on not in use again. Here you would see three different options: presence, presence/absence, and absence. The first option, presence, is used when you want a scene to be triggered when the sensor detects any presence. The next option, presence/absence, is used when you want one scene to be triggered when the sensor detects motion and another scene to be triggered when the sensor detects no motion. The third option, which is absence, is used when a scene is to be triggered when there is no motion detected by the sensor. For now, I tap on presence. I select the present scene that I want. I tap on it. I click on done. Next, you would find options like linger time, fade time, and local control. For now, I tap on linger time and set it at 5 seconds. I click on done. I click on fade time. I select 5 seconds and click on done. I tap on done again and I go back to the sensor page. As you can see now, the man icon on top of the sensor denotes that it is detecting a motion. As you can see now, the man option is gone and the luminaire has turned off. I wave my hand, it detects motion, and the luminaire is turned on again. So this is how you can configure the Merrytek sensor to work as an occupancy sensor. To configure this sensor with daylight harvesting, I tap on the sensor, I scroll down, disable presence, I enable daylight sensing. The current lux value that the sensor is achieving is 150 lux. I then go to scenes. I click on edit. I click on plus. I name the scene. I click on add a scene. I select the luminaire that has to be triggered. I click on continue. Here you would see an option called as daylight control. When I tap on it, you would see an option called as mode of operation. I tap on it, and here you would see different configurations in which the sensor can work. The first being basic on off, wherein the luminaire will either turn on or off based on the occupancy in that particular area. The next option is open loop, where the sensor is placed at a different location from the triggering luminaire. The next option is closed loop, wherein the sensor and the luminaire are placed in the same vicinity. The last option is external. This option is very much similar to open loop. For now, I click on closed loop as the sensor and the luminaire are placed in the same area. I tap on controlling sensor. I select the sensor. I click on done. The other option that you can see over here is use dedicated sensor, full range dimming, minimum dimming level, change rate, and desired illuminance. For now, I do not want the luminaire to turn off if the lux value is achieved. So I keep the minimum dimming level to be 10%. I reduce the change rate to 0.1 second so that the changes are visible at the very instance. I keep the desired illuminance to 204 lux and the tolerance to 15%, which is standard. I tap on sides and click on done. As you can see, the scene is now created. I tap on the scene that I have just created. Now I go to the luminaire tab and introduce an artificial light. As you can see, the intensity of light is gradually decreasing on the dimmer of your Kasambi app, as well as the luminaire. Now, as I moved the artificial light away, the intensity is increasing. So this is how you can pair the Merrytek sensor to work as a daylight harvest sensor. I can connect a non-Kasambi device to the output of this sensor and can use this sensor as a relay to turn on or off that particular luminaire. You can also use this sensor to function as an on-off occupancy sensor with a non-Kasambi ready driver. For that, you would have to connect the driver's input to the output mentioned on this sensor. Once you have done that, go to the scenes option, tap on edit, tap on plus, create a scene that you would require, which is the relay to be on and the lights to be on. So I select the sensor and click on. I click on continue. Here I name it. I click on done. Next, I would also have to create an absence scenes, for which I create the scene. I tap on the sensor. I tap on it to off the relay. I click on continue. I click on done. Once this is done, go to the more option. Click on the sensor. Here scroll down and select the presence sensor as presence and absence. Here I would be mentioning the scene that has to be triggered when the motion is detected and the absent scene that has to be triggered when there's no motion detected in the space. So I do that. Now you can change the linger time, the absence timeout, and the fade time. I click on done. Now, when I move my hand on top of the sensor, the light has turned on. And when it detects no motion, the lights turn off. So this is how you can configure this Merrytek sensor to work as an on-off sensor based on occupancy in a particular area.